Hello, my loves. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Dustina. This is Spiritual Boujee Astrology, and we are going to take a look at the astrological transits of December 16th to December 22nd. Now, before I do any type of recap or breakdown, just a quick little reminder for everybody that I do have discounted sessions on special all the way until the end of the month. You can book an hour-long session with me for $35. You can book a 90-minute session with me for $50. And I have had so many people asking about gift certificates. This is also something that you can gift people out their readings. But where I tend to see the hiccup is like, oh, but I don't have their chart info. You don't need to have their chart info. To purchase a gift certificate, the only thing that I need is their first and last name. All my contact info is listed on my gift certificates. Every single one is numbered for that particular person. And they're going to contact me directly. They're going to give me their chart info directly. So again, discounted rates on all of my sessions until the end of the year, including gift certificates for those that are wanting them for the holiday season. My contact information is listed in the description of every single episode, just to be clear. All right, moving along. Let's get into the week. We had a hell of a weekend. Energetically, we had a hell of a weekend. Did we all have massive things going on? Not necessarily. A lot of people had stuff in the build up to the weekend. A lot of people had things unfold throughout the weekend. And whenever we start to get into the first part of this week, I feel like for some people, there's a bit of a haziness. There's a bit of a confusion. There's kind of a dizzy effect. We're not going to be hitting quite on all cylinders. It's going to be kind of wonky. It's almost like we have our sea legs about us. But that's not going to stay that way. Now, many of us, as we went through the dynamics of the weekend, we had a change of plan. We had a shift in the information that we knew. We had some level of direction come through, a different path, a different opportunity, a turn in the atmosphere. And for many, many people, the turn also had to do with turning, I'm going to say, against another person, but it's more along the lines of no longer being willing to sacrifice, to diminish, to serve some purpose to make someone else feel happy, to make someone else feel capable. There's a level of self-sacrifice that we are making the actual decision to no longer to commit to. I know that seems kind of weird, and not everybody's in the same energy. But there was a shift in our focus. There has been a shift in information. Certain decisions have been made, are being made. And if you did not make an immediate decision, that does not mean that somebody around you has not made them. But in a lot of ways, we're going to start going back over some previous work, previous agreements, previous topics, previous situations. We're going to be going back to previous places to deal with something from a different perspective. Now, why do I say the previous? You look at where all the planets are in the sky. The majority of these planets are in a place where they've been before. Pluto has been at 0 degrees multiple times over the last 2 years. Venus was in Aquarius in this area of the sky in February. Saturn, earlier this year. Neptune, all year. Jupiter, summertime. Uranus, late spring, summertime. Mercury, since the beginning of November, he has been in Sagittarius. Mars, also since November. But the two that have had the biggest change in dynamic over the last 2 weeks has been Mercury and Mars. Mercury has just stationed direct. That happened over the weekend. During the full moon in Gemini, there was a turn in our mindset, in our focus, in the information, in the decision-making process. There was a turn that we were no longer going to sacrifice, negotiate, work towards improving a situation or making a connection with another person. that's not willing to do the work, that's not willing to be a part of the big picture, that is not going to release their ego from the situation. Now, why am I saying ego? Because of Mars turning retrograde at the beginning of December. So we're about 10 days in at the start of this week. At the beginning of December, when Mars turned retrograde, turning retrograde in Leo, there was a disruptive turn in regards to how we see certain people's egos. The maniacal side, the driven side, the motivated side. Now, if you have your natal Mars in Leo, I don't mean any disrespect. It's not about that. But having this planet reach a certain point and turn, some people, the turn is going to be, again, taking something to the next level and making an adjustment. But for other people, the turn is, I don't support your actions, Mars actions, the same way that I once did. And one of the things that I've been saying is we are starting to see cracks and splintering going in different directions. We are going to see splits. But in the immediate moment, not everybody said in that full moon, I'm done with you. We thought it. It came to the forefront. It became a part of the conversation. But it is not something that we are immediately going to take steps towards. In fact, many people are going to spend the first part of this week trying to wrap their head around, well, how do I do this next part? How do I have this conversation? How do I have this breakup? How do I disconnect and separate? And the plan for the first part of the week will be trying to figure out what that next step looks like. And as we go through the week, there will be a tone shift from Monday to Sunday. And that's because the other thing that's going to happen this week is that the sun is going to move into Capricorn. It's going to move into Saturn's sign. Now, there's no pure dynamic to the sun going into Capricorn that I'm locked onto. What I'm more focused on is the themes behind the sun, what it has done in Sagittarius for many of us, and then where it's going to lead us once it goes into Capricorn. Because the other thing that is starting to take shape every single day this week, it won't even perfect this week, it doesn't perfect until next week during Christmas time, is the second square between Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter is retrograde. Again, going back over areas of the sky, rethinking and revising and redoing certain decisions that lean back to the summer. For some people, I'm talking about August. For other people, I'm talking about June. Kind of depends on where certain decisions got made. Late May, June. But summer. We're rethinking certain decisions from summer, or we're acting upon finally a revision from things that we did earlier in the year. And as we edge closer to the edge of the month, the end of the month, I said edge, but end of the month, there is going to be a coming back and coming to terms with things with many, many people. And what we're going to see is a tone shift as to who's going to be responsible for what. Now, again, Jupiter-Saturn square does not perfect this week. But what we see is a switch in the energy throughout the week of the sun wrapping up its trip through Sagittarius. But in this wrap-up mode, it's going through a square with Neptune. So again, there's a bit of a haziness. We have a hopeful energy with the sun in Sag, but we also have to have a little bit of blind faith given that square to Neptune. And for a lot of people, I said that during the full moon in Gemini episode, that in a lot of ways, we do have to have a trust, a faith in a lot of other people, or, and this is a bigger one, we are being led by an illusion, a delusion, a lie, a fraud, a deception. And either we're coming to the realization of that, like we're coming to terms with that, we're starting to awaken that something is not as real as we once thought it was, or we are being blindly led into this situation, and it is going to have a much serious tone once we get into more of the Capricorn transits, a serious tone, an authoritative tone, a responsibility, a shift in roles is coming for a lot of people. Now, this shift is going to have a disruptive tone to it compared to previous shifts that we have dealt with throughout the year. And that's because as much as all those other transits, Jupiter, the sun, Jupiter squaring Saturn, the sun going into Capricorn, the sun in the square to Neptune, Mercury even turning direct, as much as those are normal energies that we would deal with anyways, Mars's disruptive volatile tone can mean hiccups that we couldn't normally expect. We wouldn't normally expect. Some of the hiccups will even feel illogical because some people are going to be reacting in a way that does not make sense because they're not getting their way. And that again takes me back to the concept of ego. Now, there are good versions of our ego and there are negative versions of the ego. We need some level of ego to be able to have drive and determination and confidence. But we also can lean too deep into our ego to the point that it is selfish and self-serving. And we do things that create sabotage, whether that's self-sabotage or, again, the maniacal, using the, I don't know why I'm stuck on the word maniacal today, but I am doing something purposely to hurt another person, to damage their possibilities, to halt their ability to progress, to threaten, to bully in ways we normally wouldn't deal with. Now, those are negative, the negative aspects to Mars. But again, and I've been very clear about this, not every aspect to this particular, this particular Mars retrograde is meant to be so negative. Can we deal with those negative situations? Can we deal with the fighting and the bullying? And can we see certain people very blinded by specific kinds of rage and frustration? Absolutely. I am not going to sugarcoat and say everything is sunshine and rainbows because it's still a Mars retrograde. Mars is the god of war, not the god of sunshine and rainbows. Let's be clear. But, big but, I do feel like there are meant to be gains in this Mars retrograde. And some of us are seeing the turn in certain people. We're seeing the negative turn. We are seeing those people that are doing those things that are self-serving and do levels of self-sabotage or sabotage to other people because it's going to benefit them in the long run. And we can see that. However, the other thing about the Mars retrograde is some people are going through a rapid shift in change to level something up, to take something to the next level. And for some people, the decision this week of separating, of splintering, of us not being able to see eye to eye with the other person because they don't follow the path, they don't follow the dream, they don't understand where we're going next. They are locked in the past. We will also see ripples of people amping things up as we go through this week. Some people will reveal one or two things that are very shocking, very surprising. They will have new truths or new plans or new ideas that are meant to be enlightening. But it all comes down to how we personally receive that information, receive those moments, take that situation in, and being able to find ways to react without judgment. Now, that theme, to react without judgment, that is going to have levels and layers that will continue beyond just this week. It will actually take us through the rest of the year and going into the first 10, 15 days, the first half, we'll just say the first half of January. We're going into other directions. We are learning new things. We are feeling certain splits. We are feeling ourselves pull away from certain individuals. We don't care the same way. We don't desire them the same way. We don't trust them the same way. And sometimes it's not an individual. Sometimes it's a place. It's like every time you go into your job, you're like, where the hell am I? Like, I know where I'm at. Like, I know where the bathroom is. I know the address. I know my parking spot. I know where the lunch lady is. Like, I know. But at the same time, as you're sitting there, you're like, but I don't know. Because so much is changing in the environment. Energetically, we're feeling the shift in that environment. And it is telling us something about this place is changing. And for some of you, it's even telling you something about this place is making me want to leave. And it has taken a few days to wrap your head around that. It has taken a few days to come to an understanding of this. But whatever the understanding is, whatever the change of information is, whatever the change in the dynamic has been, whatever the change in the conversation has been, whatever the change in the plan has been, because we've had a change. As we go through the first parts of this week, we're going to be a little slow in taking steps in a different direction, in picking back up on certain things. Some of us, we got to go through one or two more training videos. Like, how the hell did I unlock this last time? What was my password? Ah, crap. I don't even remember. I ain't messed with this in like 3 months, and 3 months feels like 3 years right now. Like, what did I do? Sitting there messing with your phone. What did I do? Other people are going to be going back to something that they've already done once before. They've already started once before. And whenever you start to pick back up on it, you're going to realize, oh, well, they're not in charge of this part of the flow chart. They're not in charge of this. They're not doing this. They're not, I don't want them anymore. And it's like, as we see certain things in front of us, we feel that gut turn. They've been acting funny. Something's not working right. Something's not vibing. And even though we can recognize it mentally, there's still some part of our heart that needs more time to accept what the mind knows. It's taken a few days for the mind to get in alignment. Now we're waiting for the rest of the temperance energy to set in. We need our head and heart in alignment before we can take steps forward. And I feel like parts of this week will be exactly that. Getting a moment together, taking a moment to get our head and heart in alignment before we can take new steps forward, go into a new direction moving forward. And for a lot of people, that new direction is either you will be taking on a different level of responsibility, you will be dealing something with the authority figure, you will be dealing with something with the boss, you will be having to do something, or you're going to be seeing the shifts around you of just like, well, Sally is not the assistant manager anymore because Sally is leaving. And then so-and-so is getting promoted. So we're about to have 2 new managers, or there's going to be the potential, the openings for 2 people to step up into management. And many of you are going to be looking at what it's going to take for you to take on that role. if you're not just watching it from the sidelines. Some of y'all, it's all sidelines. You got the popcorn ready and you're like, head down, mouth shut. I'm just watching. This is y'all's mess. And some of us, we are in the mess. We're getting pulled into the mess in one way, shape, or form. Okay. Okay. Let's get into the week. Let's get into Monday. Let's talk about the transits and let's see how things are going to go. So I got this December 16th, Monday morning. We're going to bump this. I meant to have this up a little bit earlier or later in the day, I should say. And Monday is not heavy. Now, the moon is going to be in Cancer all day long. The moon actually went into Cancer on Sunday, but not everybody is necessarily dealing with the moon in Cancer in a astrological sense. A lot of people are just going to be feeling certain things. Again, with the moon being in Cancer, we're being reflective. We're trying to be considerate. We're trying to get our bearings about us. We're trying to understand some of the dynamic changes that are starting to shift. And we're processing things. Again, a lot of people are emotionally processing things. Some people are going to be a little bit more reflective throughout the day on Monday, and they're going to pull back in because some of that response that needs to be coming through has to be, again, having head and heart in alignment. And sometimes it takes the heart a few days to understand what the mind already knows. Now, the only transit that has happening direct on Monday is the moon is going to go through a trine with Saturn, and it's right at the start of it. So for those that are listening to audio only, I got this on December 16th, 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Saturn is at 13 degrees, 32 minutes. The moon is at 12 degrees, 55 minutes. Again, over this 2-hour span between 11:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m., the trine will actually perfect. Saturn is direct, looking towards the moon in a trine, emotional understanding, an emotional check-in. Hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. Just wanted to see how you were doing. Sometimes we're talking about the care and the responsibility of something regarding an elder, with an authority figure, with a boss, around a boss. Conversations just to get an understanding as to like what got decided upon over the weekend. Because the human effect is some of the decisions that happened over the weekend, they are going to be rolling out on Monday morning, and that's going to have some people in their feelings. Some people are not going to do well with the changes that are starting to unfold. Some are going to be perfectly okay with it. It's kind of a different energy. Now, every day this week, we are building again to the Saturn-Jupiter square. It will not perfect this week, but it has a part of the theme and a part of the energy and a part of the tone. Throughout the first few days of the week, we will also be, excuse me, we will also be perfecting the Sun-Neptune square. And you can see this right here. The Sun, 25 degrees, 15 minutes, squaring Neptune. It's not going to go exact for a few days, but we are perfecting towards. And it is the Sun-Neptune square that keeps me in this mindset of people are going to be a little bit slow. They're not going to be clicking on all cylinders. They're going to be a little distant in a lot of their responses just because there's like a haze, a bit of a confusion for some people. For other people, it's going to be like we're slowly taking steps to get something together, to take something to the next level, to launch something that we've been spending weeks to months working on. It's kind of a mix. Some people are going to be confused. Other people are going to be super motivated. It really depends on how this energy has been impacting you. Again, the only exact transit to Monday is the Saturn moon trine. So a lot of the energy that we're going to be feeling, it's like setting the stage for the entire day. But there's nothing else direct going on to Monday. So we're going to go ahead and take this to Tuesday, December 17th. The moon is going to be in Cancer for most of the day. The first transit is not going to happen until the morning time between 6 and 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. So I've got this at 6:30. The moon is at 23 degrees, and the moon is going to go through a sextile from Uranus. So we have Uranus 24 degrees, 3 minutes retrograde. sextiling the moon at 23 degrees, 45 minutes. So we're a little bit before the exact perfection hits. But again, it's going to go exact between 6 and 8 a.m. This is when we're going to feel it the most. Some of us are going to wake up Monday morning. And again, an unexpected phone call, unexpected communication, an unexpected bump in at the coffee shop. We're going to have something that's a little bit unexpected. And it can be exciting in the moment with Uranus vibration. Sometimes it can be something exciting. You can have somebody contact you first thing in the morning going, oh, hey, can I meet with you later today? Can you squeeze me in for a meeting? Can you do this unexpected thing? Not a heavy vibration, not a heavy energy, but there is something that speaks to either in our technology with Uranus, or it's going to be something exciting and unexpected. Not heavy, given the rest of the transits that are going on. I don't feel like it's going to be heavy, but it could be something that kind of breaks us out of our fogginess. And some of us are going to need that break from the fogginess. Okay. Moving this along. As we get into the afternoon, we're going to get into a trine between Neptune and the moon. So this is going to be felt the most exact between 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time and 1:30 p.m. So this is happening during lunchtime. December 17th, 12:30 p.m. I got a Neptune at 27 degrees, 9 minutes. Sorry, I went blank there for a second. And then here's the moon again, 27, 7 minutes. For some people, that lie, the fraud, the deception that's kind of fueling the situation is being told to someone else. And it's like, whatever's being told, they're either learning about it from learning about something that's going on with another person that they are not familiar with and they don't know. For other people, like, we're going to be having certain conversations with people telling them, oh yeah, I'm going to start going to work at this place for so-and-so. And they're like, but you don't even like so-and-so. I don't like so-and-so. Why would you work there? Why would you do that? Why are you going to go in this direction? With the moon going through and in conjunction to the sun, or right around the time that it goes through the trine to Neptune, this tells me that we can either be learning about something that is going on, and one half of the party is either somebody we do not know, or that we do not see eye to eye with, that we do not understand. There can be a lot of confusion and misunderstanding. And the people that are trying to create clarity in the moment are going to be kind of struggling with gaining clarity. There's going to be a lot of confusion and a lot of misunderstanding that can come through. But for other people, there can be a lot of inspiration. Neptune's energy can also be inspiration of a direction, of a path. It's like, well, who are you going to even be doing this with? Oh, you don't know them. You don't know my new business partner. You don't know my new boyfriend. You don't know my new friend. You don't know them. And again, there's some energy that we either do not know about, we do not understand, we do not see clearly, we do not see eye to eye. But for some people, it's a hopeful energy. It's a helpful energy. And it can really set the stage for an awareness of something that's about to start to take shape over the next few days. And we're going to feel more likely to react once we continue over the next few days, specifically once the moon goes into Leo. So speaking of that, let's keep this going. Let's get this to the afternoon. At 5:40 p.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is going to go into Leo. Immediately upon the moon going into Leo, the moon is going to start in opposition to Pluto. So I got the screen right now, December 17th, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. The moon is at 0 degrees, 28 minutes, hitting the opposition to Pluto in Aquarius at 0 degrees, 39 minutes. We are at the start of something while simultaneously being at the end of something. Now, I know that sounds kind of wonky. Why do I say that? Over the next few days, once the moon goes into Leo, I'm now looking at the condition of the sun. The sun is going to be ending its time in Sagittarius while the moon is going through the sun sign. We are very, very aware that we're wrapping up one project, I'm going to call it a project, while launching another one. We are doing the final work, the final kinks, the final little signatures to take something to the next level, to launch something forward. We're very aware that we are about to take something in another direction, or that we are wrapping something up to finalize it and be done with something for the last time over the next few days. It's not just at this exact moment, but this moment is where we start this understanding of like, we are at the beginning of an ending, or again, we're wrapping up one project to take it to the next level, to take it to something else, to transition it into something bigger over these few days. Now, with the moon hitting this opposition to Pluto, we are looking at how something has changed, how something is transformed. We can be having a conversation about fears and frustrations. We can be having conversations that are very, very triggering whenever we have the moon Pluto opposition. But this is a triggering that we will finally be able to overcome. Why do I say this? Because this is the last time Pluto will be at 0 degrees, hitting an opposition to anything. So he's about to go into another point of the sky moving forward. I'm not taking away from the fact that Pluto still just started its trip into Aquarius. I'm more focused on the degrees now. We're finally coming to terms with something, and we are addressing a fear. We are addressing frustration. We are talking about frustration. We're hearing something about another side that has changed. And some of us are going to be reacting to it. Some of us are going to be, again, addressing the elephant in the room type of thing. Like, we're going to have to face some things head on, and it's not going to be easy conversations. The moon opposite Pluto is the start of a transition. It is the start of an ending. It is a start of a transfer. Okay, keeping this going. After the moon hits the opposition of Pluto, there's no more lunar transits. Everything else is either a buildup or separation, given depending on what we're talking about. Whenever we get into the 18th, when we get into Wednesday, of course, the moon is going to be in Leo all day long, and our very first transit is going to perfect roughly around 2 to 4 a.m. Central Standard Time. So I got this at 3:30 on the screen. December 18th, 3:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. We have Mars 5 degrees 16 minutes retrograde, and then we have the moon 5 degrees 26 minutes retrograde. So we're about 20 or so minutes, actual minutes, not astrological minutes, after this conjunction has been exact, but still very, very tight. If you are having a rough time sleeping from Tuesday going into Wednesday, I would not be surprised. I feel like this is going to be restless. I feel like there's going to be some frustration, but I also feel like there's going to be something that gets revealed. Why do I say this? Because this is the first moon Mars conjunction since Mars has turned retrograde. And some of what can be revealed, again, can make us have a whole different aspect of seeing the negative side of someone's ego, seeing what they're willing to do to achieve something, and not necessarily agreeing with it. I'm looking at the fact that Mars being retrograde, we're not all going to be drawn to this. If we are magnetically drawn to this situation, that is bad. Be careful. What are you doing? Think it through. It really depends on if it's a situation or a person. But this is disruptive, combative, frustrating energy. There can be tensions, there can be arguments, because for us here in the States, it's happening in the overnight hours. Some of us are going to be super restless, not being able to sleep, not being able to get comfortable, not being able to turn off our head, because it's like we're trying to imagine how something is going to go. But we feel very, very motivated now to have a certain kind of discussion. And there's a lot more transits as we go forward on Wednesday compared to the previous 2 days. Now, the moon's conjunction to Mars is going to go exact again between 2 and 4 a.m. Central Standard Time. The next transit is going to happen between 5:30 and 7:30. So I got this at 6:30 a.m. I've got the moon at 7 degrees, 4 minutes of Leo, hitting a trine to Mercury at 6 degrees, 56 minutes. We're just a little bit past the exact trine, but it's still very, very active. This is the only connection point that's going to happen between Mars and Mercury. They never went back into an exact trine. So a lot of people are going to be having certain meetings and discussions about a disruption, hearing a plan that is going to separate, hearing the negotiations that is going to push separation, hearing the conversation that is enforcing a separation. Some people, it's going to be telling them, you don't need to be here anymore. You don't need to be seeing them anymore. Y'all don't need to talk anymore. It's time to go separate ways. Now, are we having that conversation with everybody in the middle of the night going into dawn? No. The human effect, again, is what I just described between the moon's conjunction to Mars and that trine to Mercury. The human effect for some people is it happened the night before, just later in the hours, or it's going to be a part of the topics and discussion going through the day. Now, why do I say that? Because of what else is building, but it's not quite exact yet. We've got literally about 2 hours. 2 hours. Yeah, 2 hours before it goes exact. So I'm going to bump this to 8:30 to the exact part just to show you. Between 8:09 a.m. and 8:32 a.m. Central Standard Time, the sun right here, 27 degrees, 9 minutes of Sagittarius, is going to go through its exact square to Neptune, 27 degrees, 9 minutes. Monday and Tuesday, we're trying to wrap our head around how we move forward in a decision, how we address certain things, how we're going to start conversating about things moving forward, how we're going to enact a plan, how we're going to launch something. Because again, some of us are going through a fast track of like launching energy, of taking something to the next level. Whether you are taking something to the next level, or you are revealing something, or you are showcasing where the separation needs to happen because y'all can't ever see eye to eye with the sun square Neptune right here. You're not on the same path. You're not going in the same direction. You're not doing the same things. For some people, there is a bout of clarity that will come through with the sun square to Neptune. For other people, there will be a push towards manifestations and dreams and the saying that we are desiring to take it to the next level. Some people will be revealing some things to other people in a small way, knowing that the full launch is going to come, say, the first of the year going into January. And now I'm adding in human effect. But there's a lot of busyness here. And there's a lot of pride. There's a lot of passion. There's a lot of ego. And for some people, there are the lies, the fraud, the deception, whenever it comes to Neptune. For other people, there's going to be the symptoms. And that's going off of the medical aspects of Neptune, like seeing the symptoms, seeing the effects. For other people, it is going to be that manifestation energy because of, again, Neptune being in that contra-ANTISCIA to the North Node. We are trying to manifest a dream, a desire into a future direction. And some people are really, again, trying to take something to the next level. And I feel like everybody, depending on your own personal karma and your own personal charts, you know which way you're going right now. It's not a confusion anymore because so much of the outer planets are in familiar places. This shouldn't be as confusing as I'm making it sound. But some people, it might just be unbelievable. Like, did we really get to this point? Is this really happening? Are we really going to do this next thing? Is it really going to go forward? That type of thing. Okay. Oh, it's going to be energetically a very busy morning whenever it comes to the 18th. That's for sure. The sun square to Neptune. Again, we've been building all through the week since the full moon. We will continue to be in this vibration until the sun goes into Capricorn. So please understand that for some people, there is a tone shift, a plan shift. And this is where it really kind of showcases in the charts. All right, moving this along. Our next transits aren't going to go on until the evening time. So I'm going to bump this until 6:30. And we got two things going on right here. Actually, I'm going to go up to 7:30. Here's why. Because we got two things going on. Between 5 p.m. and 7:30 p.m., that's why I went ahead and bumped this an extra little bit, is the moon is going to go through an opposition to Venus. So here on the chart at December 18th, 7:30 p.m., I got the moon 14 degrees, 7 minutes of Leo hitting the opposition to Venus. It is at 13 degrees, 28 minutes. So we're a little bit past the exact. However, what I thought was interesting is that whenever the moon goes through this opposition to Venus, it also enters a sextile from Jupiter. And Venus and Jupiter are going to have an actual trine in the days ahead. And this feels like a preemptive conversation of like, are we going to have this meeting tomorrow? Are we going to have a conversation tomorrow? Oh, yeah, let me get that scheduled. Let me get that confirmed. Let me get that verified. With the moon's opposition to Pluto, it's like, can you judge the appearance of this? Can you tell me if we're doing this? Can you confirm this action? And in a lot of ways, it feels like a preemptive energy towards what's about to take place that's not taking place in the immediate. And none of what I feel in this moment feels heavy. Now, for some people, we can be, again, talking about the appearance of something or someone and learning of an upcoming meeting that's about to happen. And we're just, the third party details of like, oh yeah, and tomorrow I'm going to meet with so and so and I want to talk to them about the potential of purchasing. I'm doing an interview. I'm going in this direction. We're going to be trying this thing out. This does not feel heavy. It feels exciting. And considering Jupiter is hosting that Sun Neptune square, for some people, it could be filling them in on other excitements that are already going on, but also being filled in on their excitement too, their changes too, their adjustments too, their course correction, their plan change too. Doesn't have to be heavy. It actually feels very beneficial for a lot of people. So I'm moving this along. Moon opposite Venus is felt the most between 5 and 7:30. Between 7:30 and 9:30 is Jupiter sextile to the moon. And after that, there's no more going on. So now we're going into Thursday. We're going into the 19th. The moon is going to be in Leo all day long. And most of the transits are not actually going to occur until we get into the afternoon. So I'm going to go ahead and bump this to the afternoon. So between 1 and 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is going to go through a square from Uranus. So we have Uranus, 23 degrees, 58 minutes, squaring the moon, 23 degrees, 40 minutes. And again, I got this December 19th at 1:30 p.m. We're not quite exact on the square right here. We're probably about 20, 30 minutes away from it going exact. But that doesn't necessarily mean anything. There can be a questioning, there can be a challenging, but there can also be the awareness of, did you know this is happening? Are you going to this thing? Can you join us? And that part of like, oh, I thought it was just you two, or I thought it was just the bosses. I thought it was just this way. Oh no, we would like for you to join us. Come have lunch. Hear me out on that. Why am I saying it that way? Uranus is hosting Venus, but Venus is also hosting Uranus. They're in mutual reception to each other. And this hasn't been a heavy energy quite yet. But I do feel like since Venus has went into Aquarius, it's starting to round into something that is going to, again, include like a mutually respected break and change that's coming through. And we're kind of in a buildup in a lot of ways. Venus going through that trine with Jupiter while Uranus is going through a square with the moon, and Uranus and Venus kind of being in this mutual reception energy. There feels something in the topics, in the exchange, in the communication that comes through that, again, it feels exciting. It feels hopeful. It feels rewarding in a lot of different ways. For some people, that will have a physical reward because of Venus. For other people, it's going to be a financial reward because of Jupiter. Some people, it's going to have to do with the doctor, the guru, the teacher, and impressing some type of judgment or understanding or desire in that direction. I desire your knowledge. I desire your aid. I desire your help and expecting a no, but with that Uranus moon square going on, you get like an unexpected and exciting yes. It might not be an immediate yes. It might actually take like a day or two, like, I need to think about it. But that doesn't mean that you won't get that type of connection. Now, Uranus is square to the moon between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. The actual trine between Venus and Jupiter does not go exact until around 8:15 in the evening. It's exact between 8 p.m. and 8:20. So I'm bumping the screen to 8:30 p.m. and you can see it's just like a minute off. Here's Venus, 14 degrees, 38 minutes. Here is Jupiter, 14 degrees, 37 minutes. You can see that this is going on. But what I thought was interesting is like right as these two go through their trine, the moon is entering a trine with the sun. And you can see this here. This also is an energy that takes us from Thursday into Friday for some people. For other people, it's like based off of the benefits, the reward, the potential, the feedback, the appearance change, the insight. Luck is on our side. We're getting a better understanding. And again, we're confirming something that is ending yet beginning simultaneously. And for a lot of people, I feel like it's like we're wrapping up one project to go to the next one. We're in our final days in one job so we can go in another direction. Are we all doing direction changes all in the same week? No, the human effect is sometimes we have prolonged direction changes. And that's why I'm saying it's a part of a splintering vibration that we're in. But it's necessary disruption. It's a course correction disruption that we're in. Okay. Venus is trine to Jupiter. Again, is felt the most exact between 8 p.m. and 8:20. The actual trine between the moon and the sun are going to take place between 11:30 p.m. Central Standard Time and 1:30 a.m. So you can see this here. I got it at 10:30. Here's the moon, 28 degrees, 23 minutes. Here's the sun, 28:46. Over the next few days, or over the next day and a half, the sun is going to be wrapping up its tour through Sagittarius. It is coming to a close when the moon in the sun sign is hitting that trine to the sun. Again, we're coming to a close on something, but we're very aware that we're wrapping it up and tying a nice little bow on it. Most people are aware that they're making this adjustment, or they're becoming aware in the moments as we go through here. Yeah. This will be, you're about to get promoted. You're about to go to this other position, or you have turned in your 2 weeks notice. So you're already aware, like, this is my last few times of doing this report. Moving forward, you're going to have to report to so-and-so. You're going to have to get it from Susie. You're going to get it from Sally. You're going in another direction. It ain't coming from me. Okay. Moving along. Now, again, the sun's trine with the moon is something that can start on Thursday. It still is carrying us into Friday. So I got this at 12:30. You can see the moon is just past its exact trine with the sun. And then for just a little bit, the moon is going to go void. But I do mean a little bit, because at 1:37 a.m., the moon is going to go into Virgo. Now, I've got this December 20th at 2:30. Whenever you see the moon go into Virgo, it is once the moon goes into Virgo that I feel like some people are going to be able to start working through the plans, writing out the correspondence, putting practical order to something that either we've already done once before. We're going to be able to start focusing on something that we did once before, but it's going to be a little bit more productive compared to before. Now, why do I say that? The moon is now back in a mercurial sign. Mercury is now direct and he's moving. He's actually moving. He didn't stay stationed for days at a time. Very quickly, he started actually taking up space and moving in a different direction. And over these next few days, we're again going to be picking back up on something from before. For many of us, it's going to be something from the beginning of November. For other people, it's going to be stuff from earlier this year. In some way, shape, or form, we're picking back up on something, but we're trying to make the usage, the idea, the conversation be more practical and more productive. There's something productive that's going to start to take shape once the moon goes into Virgo, and even more so when the sun goes into Capricorn. We're not quite there yet. We're still in the process of like productive wrap up in a multitude of ways. Now, when it comes to Friday, there's only one direct transit besides the one that took us over from the midnight hours from Thursday into Friday. When it comes to the actual part of Friday, there is only one transit, and it's going to happen in the evening time. So I'm bumping this to 5:30 p.m. And between 5 and 7 p.m., the moon in Virgo, so in Mercury sign, is going to go through a square to Mercury. This does not feel heavy. This feels, again, like an understanding. This feels like practical order, putting something in order with the hopes of being done with something. Why do I say that? Because the sun is at 29 degrees. Wrapping something up again to finally allow for it to be more productive, for it to finally take a more serious stance forward, for us to finally launch something, because again, we're getting closer and closer to launches of something different. And again, there is an order change in the atmosphere. Now, in this moment, it feels like a question. It feels like a check-in. Hey, did you do this? Did you do this? How was your day, babe? I was busy all day. I got a lot of stuff done. I got a lot of stuff accomplished. Oh, well, that's great. Yeah. It's like since that conversation, since the weekend, since my mindset change, it feels like after I finally express certain things, it feels like I can finally get something done. There's something about when we are feeling halted and frozen in the energy that a lot of people struggle to go anywhere else. Like, I need to get this done. 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 But it's like, as soon as you sit there and you look at the screen, you look at your notebook, you look at the keyboard, you're like, I can't do it. Like physically, I can't type. I can't. It's like every time I try to force myself to do it, I go to my phone. I start to shaking. I have to get up. I walk into the next room. Something pulls me away. There's been something up until a certain point. It's just like, I just can't do this. But I don't feel like that way with Friday. I feel like for a lot more people, you didn't have the ability to do things before. And now we're going to be able to do some things where we finally feel capable of turning some things around, of reworking some things, again, of doing something different. And that speaks volumes through the moon square Mercury. Okay. After this square, there's nothing else exact going on whenever it comes to Friday. Again, I feel like a lot of people are getting some things in order, focusing on some things, being really productive, and getting ready to take something to the next level. So I'm now on December 21st. I've got this on Saturday. I'm bumping this to 3:30 a.m. Why am I doing that? Because at 3:21, the sun goes into Capricorn. So you can see this right here. The sun is at 0 degrees. Pluto is at 0 degrees. We are at the start of something. The sun going into Capricorn. This is the start of a cardinal sign anyways. So cardinal signs tend to be the launches. They tend to take us forward. They tend to move us in different directions. And many of us are, again, in this vibration where we're wrapping something up while also starting something new. By the time we get to the moon being in Capricorn, we are feeling much more in tune with our role, with our responsibility. We are willing to take on more responsibility, where before there was kind of a question. And again, what I said at the beginning of this episode is by the time we get to the end of the week, that there is a tone change For some people, this is going to be a heavy tone change. For other people, it's going to allow again for a certain amount of productivity that we weren't having before. So we're moving in a new direction. We're starting something. Okay. And for a lot of people, that start is going to be like the start of a transition in power and roles and responsibility, like I said before. Now, I'm going to bump this now until 5:30 in the morning because we got two things going on and they're back to back. So they're pseudo simultaneous. And there is something here that speaks to activating a future transit. And I already kind of warned about this. Excuse me. I've got the moon 14 degrees, 14 minutes of Virgo. And what it's going to do is it's going to go through an opposition to Saturn. Well, the sun just went into Saturn's sign. It just started something. The moon hitting this opposition to Saturn, the elder, responsibility, who's taking care of what, who's in charge of what is the rule, how are we going to do this moving forward? What are the policies moving forward? What do we need to adapt, adjust, and change so we can have something better moving forward, so it can be more streamlined moving forward? The moon is going to make this opposition to Saturn and then immediately go into a square with Jupiter. And in a lot of ways, we're coming back around towards something from previous timelines and we're making adjustments. Some people are coming back very hopeful, saying, hey, I want my job back. Other people are coming back because I thought this was the right way to go. And I'm recognizing that I shouldn't have went in this direction. And it's like we're needing the insight, we're needing the experience, we're needing the knowledge and exchange from another side to allow something to happen. And there are conversations that are going to be had. Now, are they all happening at 5:30 in the morning? Absolutely not. Again, the Jupiter-Saturn square is starting to perfect, but it's not going to go exact until next week. The moon in Mercury's sign, and remember, Mercury and Jupiter are also in mutual reception. The moon going through Mercury's sign right here is like it's putting something in order, a logistical order for some, a tangible order. So again, writing out the policies, writing out the documents. For some, there's something tangible, productive, that is starting to take shape from here. And there can be a lot of excitement and there can be a lot of frustration. It kind of depends on which planet is your activation planet or your time lord, and who's your chart ruler as we go through these transits. Okay. This happens the most exact, again, between 3:30 and 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, this whole concept. And then when it comes to Saturday, there's no more direct transits. So for a lot of people, the way that you go through the day on Saturday is, again, putting something in order, getting something prepared, getting something ready with the idea that we're going to hand it over. We're going to be pushing it off. We're not going to be in charge of something anymore. We're going to go in different directions. We're in the process of a transition. That's not going to be easy for everyone to understand until we're actually in some of the transitions. Now, I've got the screen now on Sunday, December 22nd. And the very first thing that's going to happen is the moon is going to go through a trine from Uranus. So I got Uranus, 23 degrees, 54 minutes, hitting the trine. Here's the moon, 23 degrees, 44 minutes. And again, I've got this Sunday, December 22nd, 12:30 a.m. So it's right after midnight. This is an excitement energy for some, unexpected communication, unexpected feedback, unexpected alterations, unexpected shakeups that kind of take us out of where we were being productive before, an unexpected call that makes us feel a little bit judged. There can be that critical aspect of the moon being in Virgo of not feeling all that great. But for a lot of people, there is something being far more productive. And some of the unexpected energy can be just an unexpected finding about something from before, or talking about something from the past, like a nostalgic element that's also feeding into the present. Is like, this kind of reminds me of that time that we did the thing. Do you remember that time? Do you remember the when? Do you remember the where? Do you remember the how? Oh, yeah, I remember that. You're going through pictures and you see like the unexpected things, like, oh, look at that. And there's another element that speaks to nostalgia as we continue. So I'm going to break this into the morning time. Between 6:30 and 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is going to make this opposition to Neptune. So this is really interesting to me because I'm looking at the moon going through a contra-ANTISCIA to the south node, hitting the opposition to Neptune, while Neptune has been in a contra-ANTISCIA to the north node. And I feel like there is an energetic understanding so deeply of a release right here. But you can also see the overwhelming effects now going with the medical astrology with Neptune, like this overwhelming effects of like, you're not going to be able to change somebody else's mind or opinion, that they are very dead set that this is how something is going to go. They are blinded by that light. They are blinded by the dream. They are blinded by their beliefs. We kind of talked about that in previous episodes, given the way this vibration is happening. And it's like you finally get some type of turn in the information, turn in the dialogue, and you can see that. But at the same time, you could be going out and doing something very practical that still has that level of nostalgia. And it could be like we're wrapping some things up for the holiday. Let's be clear about that. It's like we're be talking about, it's like some final plans for the holiday, some little final inspirational pieces that are going to impact the holiday because we are super close to the holiday. So I'm putting that human effect into there. Anytime we have something with Neptune, it can have a nostalgia point of just like talk. I am so sorry about the coughing today, guys. I don't know why I'm coughing that much. I apologize. Anytime we have things with Neptune, it can be manifestations, it can be dreams, it can be nostalgia, it can be something that captures our imagination. But given this dynamic with the moon here and the nodes being so close, there's going to be a logical decision by a lot of people to not do something the same way anymore, to be done with something, to let go of something, to let go of the past. And energetically, we can feel throughout the entire day, given the way the day will continue, there's more reasons why I'm saying this, of letting go, just letting go of control, letting go of the drama, letting go of anything that disrupts our peace, and staying more focused on our peace. If that's what they believe, let them go. If that's what they think is best, let them go. I'm sick and tired of this. And there can be something that can be very deeply spoken with that potential in the conversation as we go through the morning on Sunday, but actually even more so as the day continues. Now, after the moon goes through its opposition to Neptune, the moon is going to go void for a few hours. So again, I don't feel like there's going to be a lot of heavy energy of getting a lot of things done in the early morning hours. At 1:08 p.m. Central Standard Time, so I got the screen at 1:30, the moon is going to go into Libra. And as soon as the moon goes into Libra, what is the moon going to do? It is going to go through a trine with Pluto. This is the most exact between 1:30 and 3:30 p.m. I'm going to bump this now to 3:30. And between 3:30 and 5:30 p.m., we go through our last quarter moon. The moon is going to square the sun. So it's starting to wind down. And again, in the last quarter moons, we reach an energy towards winding down. With the moon going through the trine with Pluto, there can be a voicing again of frustration, of triggers, of trauma, of the past, of things that we are needing to let go of, things that we are needing to overcome. But with the moon now being in Libra, being in Venus' sign, there's a little bit more of a logic there, given the condition of Venus in Aquarius. We can be more enabled and more accepting of what needs to be released. And why do I keep saying the release? Moon's trying to Pluto, Moon's squaring to the sun, and we're winding down to now to a new moon. The new moon's going to happen on the 30th, so we got some days before that. But with the moon hitting this conjunction to the south node, we can be very, very aware of what we need for the long term moving forward. That's going to be what's best for our body. Whether that is an appearance aspect, with the south node still being in Libra, being in Venus' sign, whether this is a fairness aspect, because again, Libra, Venus' sign, what's going to be fair, what's going to be right, what's going to keep us in balance, what's going to keep things in check, no longer wanting to keep things in balance, no longer wanting to be one side of the scales. If you want to go that way, then you're going that way, and I'm jumping off this side. I'm not going to be a part of this anymore. And again, we are in this transitional energy of recognizing something that is starting and being let go, being released. The south node is the body of the dragon that has been discarded, disgraced, removed, released, relieved, left behind. When the moon goes through its conjunction to the south node while squaring the sun, while in the trine to Pluto, there will be deep levels of release. And for some people, this will be mental release by finally wrapping up that project and sending over the final file, sending over the final product, sending over all the logins, sending over whatever we're doing. It's like, oh my God, I feel so much better. Not an emotional release, but a mental release that has been impacting the body. For other people, it's going to be as soon as you're done with that run or you're done moving that thing. It's like, oh my God, there's so much more room for activities. I feel so much more space. I feel so better. And considering we're in the last conjunction to the moon and the south node, there is, again, even more energy that speaks to release. Because less than a month from now, that south node will not be in Libra anymore. No, it's going to be in Virgo. So we, again, are wrapping things up while transitioning and simultaneously moving into new directions. Some of us are going to feel this energy and feel a relief. Some of this are going to be in this energy and we're going to be feeling some kind of symptom in the body, something that triggers fear. Some of us can be seeing something different within our elders and their body and their wellness. And again, it's shifting our focus into something. Some of us are going to be recognizing even more so that we're stepping into a new role and responsibility. And we're having to, again, let go of the reins of prior things that we were in charge of because they're not going to be on our plate any longer. The moon will actually hit its exact conjunction to the south node while going through the quarter moon. So you can see this here. I got this at 5:30. The south node is at 2 degrees, 5 minutes. The moon is at 2 degrees now and 9 minutes. There is a vibration to Sunday. The tone has shifted. The weight, the responsibility is shifting. Certain people are stepping into new roles and they're overwhelmed with the potential and the possibility. Bright ideas, bright future, bright thinking. Oh, it's going to be so great, right? It's got to be, right? Sure, we'll see. Universe is funny, so we'll see. In other ways, we're recognizing more and more the things that we are letting go of. Now, there's one more aspect that's going to happen later in the evening on Sunday. And this is whenever Mars is going to go through its exact sextile to the moon. So I've got this at 9:30 p.m. December 2nd, Central Standard Time. Between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. Central Standard Time, this is whenever Mars is going to go through the sextile with the moon. But again, this is Mars going in one direction, the moon going in another, different directions. Hey, are you coming over? Yeah, probably not. Hey, were you able to get this done? No, I wasn't able to get it done because I was focused on something else. Hey, are you going to be able to do that thing? Oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot. I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm not going to go with you. I can't tag along. Something's up with mom. Something's up with grandma. Something else has popped up. I'm so sorry. It's been such a crazy day. This is not heavy, but it also has another inkling that speaks to separations. But it kind of feels like in this moment, so many other things have been going on that we're doing that check in of like, oh, hey, are you going to be able to? And the answer is like, nah, I'm sorry. I got busy. I had other things going on. Some people were going to be asking for help and be like, oh no, I can't make that. I can't do that thing with you. I'm not able to step in. I'm not able to fill in. I'm not able to help. This does speak about going in two different directions, but it does not have to be crazy. It doesn't have to be heavy, and it does not have to be argumentative. Again, it kind of comes down to how you are dealing with the energy. There is a tone shift through this week. I'm going to keep saying that because somebody's going to have the nerve to be surprised. There is a drastic tone shift through this week. Some people made certain decisions earlier in the year. I'm not putting a timestamp on it now. I'm just going to say earlier in the year. To do one thing. They were very motivated to do this in a certain way. They had a plan, they had a path, they had a direction, and they felt enabled, entitled, emboldened to do something in one way. But then little by little cracks in the surfaces have shown us, no, 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 not right, not happening, can't do this, not doing this. No. And whether it was something from the springtime, something from the summer, or even something since October, November, more so November, but you guys know where you're at on that. Sometimes for some people, it's going to be even older stuff, and I recognize that. I am more focused on the pattern of the most current transits that we have all spoke about. If it is something from even further back, that's something that we should talk about in individual sessions. But the events from those prior time frames, we're coming back and going back over them in many, many ways with the idea that, again, certain people that had had previous roles and responsibilities are not going to be able to continue. The people that once said that they were able to handle certain positions, they're not going to be able to continue. They're not going to be able to live up to certain things. Other people are going to have a complete change of heart. And so much of the focus after we go through this week, and it kind of starts really at the end of the week, but a lot of the focus is going to start to lean into Saturn now that we are in Capricorn season, because by the end of this week, we will be in Capricorn season. And even more so, Jupiter once we get into January. Because that's where we're going to have gains. Now, when it comes to the squares between Saturn and Jupiter, I'll probably do another Meditative Rant episode later this week on just those two and their dynamic. There is a need for a transition and a change, and we're in the middle of it. I've been saying for quite some time, we're going into a new thing in 2025. We're going into new directions and new paths and new callings and new ideas. Where we land comes springtime of 2025, April, May, June. Where we land there is not where we were last summer. Our focus then will not be what it has been. But for us to get to that new, we have to believe in the change. We have to believe in the launch. We have to believe in the direction changes. If you do not believe with the direction changes that are happening, whether that direction change is right or wrong, and that's, again, going back on personal karma and personal situations. If you are not on the bus If you are not in line, if you are not on the same page, then you are a part of the splitting and the splintering of going in a different direction. Some of you are going to wait it out. You're going to see how things go. And you might be making a change later on. You're seeing the changes now, but you are personally not going to make a change until later on. Some of you are trying to make the best of situations, knowing that the only way that we can progress from here is to take it one step at a time. Some of you won't do one step at a time. You're doing leaps and bounds. And regretfully, if we're doing too much too fast, we can miss things. Some of us, we were just shown things that we missed throughout the Mercury retrograde. And we had to hone back in, revise, revamp, restructure, redo some things. And we are going into this week and the rest of this year, and even the start of 2025, aware of where we have to do things differently, where our focus is shifting, where the agenda, where the plans, where the story is shifting from here. And for a lot of people, again, we are meant to go through massive growth and gains and change. But just because one side can see the potential does not mean all sides do. You can have business partners that are on two different wavelengths going in two different directions. You can make certain decisions in this moment, trying to find middle ground, knowing that one other side is never going to accept middle ground. There is a shift in the tone, in the plan, in the mood, in what we know as we go through this week. Some people, you had the shift during that full moon in Gemini. You became aware over the weekend. You made that decision over the weekend. And each day this week is just one more step towards trying to get that put into place and get something into motion. In other ways, we're seeing the shift in other people and we're questioning their integrity. We're questioning their sanity. We're questioning the potential. And we're feeling that energetic halt saying, this isn't for you anymore. This person isn't for you anymore. This situation isn't for you anymore. And you're going to be feeling yourself being forced and compelled to make a decision to go in a different direction. Some people are going and leveling up. Other people are splitting and going in a whole new direction. The disruption of Mars retrograde is real. Some people will not be happy even with the splits. And you're going to feel delays and you're going to feel like you've made a mistake. It's not necessarily the case. But reacting to something without giving it a chance is going to end up biting a lot of people in ways that they can't even measure quite yet. Now, if you are seeing the negative impact of somebody else doing something in a selfish way to feed their ego, if you can see the writing on the wall that they're making bad business moves, then you're probably not the only one looking at splitting. And this is why I say the words of splintering and people going in different directions, because I see that happening. It's like veins in the splits. We can have one or two big splits, but then what starts from here is like little miniature rows and areas. And what splits from here is little smaller veins and directions. There's a splintering in the vibration. You know where you're at. Are you pumping more in? Are you actually taking something to the next level? Or are you feeling yourself being pulled away and separating and finding another direction? There is separations in this vibration. There are role shifts and responsibility shifts in this vibration. There is new authority being impressed or coming into power in this vibration. And I need people to be prepared for that. Okay. Okay. For those that are wanting to book sessions, again, my contact information is listed in the description of every single episode. $30. I'm sorry. Well, I cannot talk now. Good luck. $35 for an hour. 50 minutes, $50 for 90 minutes. I really cannot talk now. I don't know what's going on in my head. Mercury's turning direct like right now when I'm recording this. Hit me up with questions, hit me up with concerns. I will be happy to sit down with everybody individually, one-on-one, go over aspects of their chart, about the decisions that are going on, and look at what direction and what path is the best one to take moving forward. All right. I love and appreciate every single one of you. I will talk to everybody very soon. Subscribe.